Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group on YouTube. Today we are going to do something a little different and we're going to take a look back at a faction from WWE from November 2015 to April 2016, and it's the League of Nations. Consisted of members Sheamus, who was Irish, King Barrett, who was English, Rusev, who was Bulgarian, and Alberto Del Rio, who was Mexican. Um, you know, if you remember WWE from this time, then you may remember these with fond memories. You may remember them as being missed opportunities and missed potential. I remember a lot of fans, a lot of friends of mine as well, especially, were quite excited when these were thrown together. Not necessarily the idea behind them being, all anti-Americans or an anti-American group, if you like. But definitely there was a bit of buzz about these four individuals being teamed together as part of a faction. It felt something new, something fresh. Especially for some of them that weren't doing too much at the time. Alberto Del Rio had not long come back to the company. Had beaten John Cena for the United States Championship, so he was the US champ. But the other three weren't doing all too much before all four members were aligned together as a faction. So I remember at the time, there was a lot of talk about the fact that WWE Creative had just seemed to have pinched an idea from WWE 12, the video game. In one of the story modes there, it was they had a story mode where Sheamus aligned himself with a faction called the United Kingdom, which was Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Drew McIntyre, and William Regal. So I remember a lot of people discussing that when it was first put together, of basically WWE Creative just taking the idea from a video game and just changing it slightly. So at the time, it was peak WWE trying to shove Roman Reigns down our throats as the top babyface of the company, but obviously fans didn't want it and fans wouldn't take to it. They didn't want Roman Reigns as the top babyface. But WWE had other ideas and they were going to try again to see if they could get Roman over as being the next, like, John Cena, if you like. So Survivor Series in 2015, it was a tournament for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, Seth Rollins had to vacate the title through injury, and it concluded with Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose in the final at the pay-per-view, with Roman Reigns picking up the win and becoming world champion for the first time. A reign that lasted just 5 minutes as Sheamus decided he was going to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase and defeated Roman Reigns for the WWE World Championship. To a lot of fans' joy, to be fair. I remember there being a lot of fans that wanted Dean Ambrose to win the belt, so obviously then Sheamus coming away with the belt was a bit of a FU to Roman. I do remember there was some fans that did want Roman to win and they weren't too pleased, so it was a bit of a mixed reaction at the end of the night when you had Sheamus standing over Roman Reigns as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. The week after, Sheamus defended the title against Reigns in a rematch on Raw, only for the match to be interrupted then by Barrett, Rusev, and the United States champion Alberto Del Rio. Sheamus dubbed the faction there and then as the League of Nations, and they would then have their first match that night, teaming with the New Day, to defeat Roman Reigns, Ambrose, and the Usos in a 7-on-4 handicap match, which is par for the course for WWE, making random handicap matches that make absolutely zero sense. You had Reigns, Ambrose, and the Usos. There's four guys, and obviously you had Sheamus, Rusev, Del Rio, and Barrett. There's your other four guys. Why not just make it an 8-man tag match? 4-on-4. But no, let's put the New Day in there as well. So the first match together as a team, they did win, like I say, with the New Day. But then that same week on SmackDown, seen Roman Reigns face all four members in a 4-on-1 handicap match. And Roman won. Of course he did. Roman won the match via countout. Basically showing already like what night two, basically, the same week of them forging together, showing basically that it was clear that they just wanted to put Roman Reigns over as the big face, and that this faction didn't have a very good future in front of them. Following week on Raw, they competed in a fatal four-way elimination tag match, competing against the Wyatt family, Roman Reigns, Ambrose, and the Usos again. ECW Originals, that was a team apparently, the Dudleys, Rhino, and Tommy Dreamer, and obviously the League of Nations. The match ended with Roman Reigns picking up the pin over Sheamus. So straight away, your new champion looks weak. And the League of Nations struggling start continued. So a lot of potential already being squashed. Night two, losing in a 4-1 handicap match, whether it's via count out or not, they still lost the match. You can't get a heel faction over if they can't even win a 4-1 handicap match. At the time, like Sheamus was big enough to beat Roman on his own without without the other three. So, and then obviously then they go and lose the tag match, the Fatal 4-Way four-man tag match that they did with Roman picking up the win over Sheamus. So again, not a good start. Outside the main storyline against Roman Reigns, League of Nations members Rusev and Alberto Del Rio started storylines of their own. Rusev versus Ryback, and Del Rio faced Jack Swagger for the United States Championship. Wade Barrett, for some reason, was left on the sidelines for pretty much a lot of this storyline with the League of Nations, which is very, very unfortunate. At the TLC pay-per-view, 3 of the 4 members, Wade Barrett was left out, were involved in matches. Rusev defeating Ryback, Del Rio retaining the United States Championship against Swagger, and then Sheamus retains the WWE Championship against Roman Reigns with a little help from League of Nations. Next night on Raw, Roman Reigns then defeats Sheamus to win the WWE Championship despite interference from the League of Nations and Vince McMahon, ending Sheamus's run at just 22 days. So pretty pointless. So straight away you've got a champ in Seth Rollins who held it for how long? Then Roman wins, losing the belt in 5 minutes. Then Sheamus wins, losing the belt in 22 days. Back to Roman anyway, which is just a mess in itself. Vince McMahon being included in the storyline obviously started the whole build-up of Roman Reigns to take on the Authority, which then pushed on until WrestleMania. The January 4th edition of Raw saw Sheamus fail in the bid to regain the title, even with Vince McMahon as the special guest referee. So again, continuing to just put the beat down on Sheamus and make him not look like a viable world champion, even though before this he was already 2 or 3 time world champion. Alberto Del Rio then goes and loses the US Championship to Kalisto, regains it the same week thanks to Wade Barrett, before dropping it back to Kalisto at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Now, during the Royal Rumble match, it was, if you remember, Roman Reigns won against all. He started the match as the champ. He had to defend the belt in the match against 29 other superstars. And all 3 of the 4 members, you can guess who was left out, Wade Barrett again, were eliminated by Roman Reigns from the Rumble match itself. So you'd already had Del Rio drop the belt to Kalisto at the pay-per-view, so why not just have Barrett take his spot in the Rumble if you're going to have him eliminated by Reigns anyway. The burial of the League of Nations was in full effect as they then went into a feud with newly fan favourites and babyfaces, The New Day. So obviously it starts a couple of months previous where they team with The New Day to get their first victory as a team, to then they go into a storyline against them. We get, New Day proper putting the burial in full effect by calling them or dubbing them the League of Booty, which the fans loved, which then puts the faction down even further. At the Roadblock pay-per-view, Sheamus and Wade Barrett was actually in this match, were unsuccessful in challenging Big E and Kingston for the Tag Team Championships. Following night on Raw, seeing Rusev and Del Rio this time challenge Big E and Woods for the titles, with the champs again, retaining. So they can't even get tag team belts at this point. I mean, if you look at them at the start, Del Rio's US champ, Sheamus just won the world championship as the group formed. You'd think the next logical thing would be to put the tag belts on Barrett and Rusev and have them draped in gold going into WrestleMania as an established faction. WWE, as always, had different plans, or no plans as it seems. After the match, all four members put the beat down on the New Day and challenged them to a match at WrestleMania 32. So we have WrestleMania 32 being Sheamus, Del Rio and Rusev, with Barrett at ringside, defeating the New Day before Barrett takes to the microphone and states no three men can beat them. So they actually put them over the New Day at WrestleMania, which is a surprise to all, and gives you a glimmer of hope that something might just happen out of this faction, this storyline, where they might push on and actually finally do something with them. But then out comes Mick Foley, Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels to completely destroy and kill the faction off dead. Which is annoying because around this time is when, I think just before the League of Nations, me and my son went and met Wade Barrett. We managed to get a photograph with him, and I got him to sign my son's World Heavyweight Championship, which is a really cool thing. I know he'd never won it, but it was for my son. It plays music, it lights up, it's a pretty cool belt, and Sheamus signed Barrett signed the strap, and he even said to us at the time, keep an eye out, I am going to be draped in championship gold again soon. So from that conversation we had, it sounded like Wade Barrett was going to be coming out of it as a champion. So we assumed obviously it was that he was going to maybe hold a tag team belt and maybe a mid-card belt. So very, very annoying and frustrating. It was reported on a number of occasions since that at this point all four members were truly fed up and even began to fall out backstage, resulting in them getting physical with each other just before WrestleMania 32 and just before the match. So there was a bit of a brawl and a kerfuffle backstage before the WrestleMania 32 matchup. April 4th edition of Raw seen Sheamus and Barrett once again challenge the New Day for the tag team titles unsuccessfully, leading to Barrett being labelled the weak link and attacked by other members and being kicked out of the League of Nations. Straight afterwards, the Wyatt family attacked, laid out the League of Nations, which makes no sense because then it's 4-on-3 when they already had a fourth member, so why kick them out and then go into a storyline with the Wyatt family? Absolutely makes no sense to me. But this was Barrett's last appearance before his release in May from the WWE. The Wyatt family story, which had just started, was cut very short as Bray Wyatt picked up an injury. In the last match, April 28th of SmackDown, seeing the remaining three members take on Kalisto, Cesaro and Sami Zayn in a random 6-man tag match. Del Rio and Rusev then leave and head to the back. Sheamus, not wanting to be left on his own to face the other three, also leaves, follows them into the back. We see a mini brawl. Sheamus saying that they're disbanding, that's it, they're going to go their separate ways. Just a mini little crappy backstage segment after all this. And then in the September of the same year, Alberto Del Rio was once again released from the WWE. So you're talking at the beginning, there was the potential, you had a world champion, you had a US champion, and there was potential, like say, to drape some more in gold, and by the sound of it, they believed that was the case. Alberto Del Rio has come out since and said he was supposed to have a main event spot during this time, which wasn't given to him, because obviously plans had changed and he wanted to push Roman Reigns. And then you look, a couple of months later, it's ended. Barrett's then released the next month, and by the end of the year, Alberto Del Rio's released. So this could be one of the worst factions that had so much potential in WWE history. To go from a world champion, a US champ, to 2 out of the 4 being released. So, like I say, I just wanted to have a little look back. So let me know in the comment section, do you remember the League of Nations? Do you remember them being good, bad, somewhere in between? Did you expect a lot more from the storyline? And just let me know your general thoughts on the League of Nations, and let me know if you also believe, like I do, that WWE proper dropped the ball and fumbled a faction that could have been great. So let me know in the comment section. As always, give me a like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and keep an eye out for more wrestling related content coming your way very soon.